This is the STUG or Sarasota Technology User Group's Let's Talk AI, a monthly show that we do on the fourth Friday of most months. And I'm Huey Poplock. I'm your moderator. I'm cold infested and I'm having trouble speaking for any amount of time without coughing. So I'm going to rely on a lot of the Let's Talk and less of Huey presenting today. But I'll show you some things as well. So I'm glad you're here. This is being recorded and it will be on YouTube wi- within a couple of weeks, if not sooner. I try to get these done pretty quickly, but sometimes other things come into place and I have to do that with several videos. And all of a sudden, whoops, I haven't placed it yet. I, anyway, the newsletter went out yesterday and it's got a link to last month's video. So if you didn't see or weren't here, or if you'd like to see it again, you can go to YouTube and watch it. Okay, remember that I muted everybody. So if you want to speak, you have to unmute. But what's somebody done new this past month? Discovered something, tried something, did something, and it either worked or it didn't. What do we got? Anybody?
Well, I had said in our discussions before we um, started recording that I had found the AI Alter AI, ALTER.ai, and their claim to fame is they claim that they are truth and not corporately biased. So my experiments so far, at least a couple of times when some of the other standard AIs, Gemini or ChatGPT, would say something like, I'm not a lawyer, go see an attorney, or I'm not a doctor, consult your doctor. I'd give the same prompt to Alter AI and get an answer that did in fact answer the questions I was asking. And
Yep.
give you some free time. They work with credits. You get so many credits daily free. And then if you want to buy it, it's not very expensive, relatively speaking. And I've got something like 2,000 credits a month right now, which is more than I can use.
Yeah, there's a couple of AI sites that give you points every time you go visit them if you do it once a day. They'll give you points every day. And I have about five of those, so I have a link to each one of them, and I go to the main link, and it takes me to each one, and I sign in, and I get extra credits for that particular site. And by the way, Galaxy AI is one of them, so I get additional credits every single day by going there, and it adds up quite a bit if you're not using them every day. Uh, also, Mike, you sent out an email to me sometime today about the fact that it's difficult to determine if something is AI or not,
I
and
had
that's a
I've been following many of you may have this Atlas 3I or Atlas I3, whatever it is, this comet, and the general um, populace or popular videos that are around are trying to make a case for the fact that it's actually uh, intelligence driven and not just a casual visitor to our solar system. And I try to get watch the videos on this that have somebody who's credited as being an astronomer or a popular, somebody who at least is scientific method in their analysis of it. So this morning, YouTube recommended I go see a Joe Rogan podcast, and it actually opens up with an image behind the presenter and the face of Joe Rogan and his voice. And within 5 minutes of listening to what he was saying, it all just sounded very monotonous in the way it was presented, and one or two words were mispronounced. And he used the word lead instead, LEAD instead of lead. And I said, oh, this has got to be AI. So rather than just make the assumption and dismiss it, I said, let's see what Gemini says. So I got the YouTube video link and I opened up Gemini and I said, here's a video that I think was created by AI. Give me your analysis. And it gave a very good analysis and all the reasons why it thought that it was generated by AI. It was about 90% sure that it wasn't. I sort of knew after 5 minutes, but
Yeah, I got suckered into a bunch of those early when they first discovered the A1 Atlas comet, and I started watching them, and gosh, this thing is amazing, and there's all kinds of things going on. And then I start realizing, I'm not seeing this anywhere else. I'm not seeing it mainstream. I'm not seeing it on any of the conservative or the liberal side newscasts. There's something wrong here. And so I started looking into it, and I realized, yeah, that's almost all of it's made up. And it's all AI. One of the things to go along with that idea of checking it, one of the things I do, hang on, I'm going to cough here. One of the things I do is if I read an article and I say, this doesn't sound right, I'll put it through at least one, sometimes more than one of the AI programs, and I say, how much of this is accurate or how much is true? And like you said, Mike, it comes back and it says, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is partially right, this is mostly right, and this is absolutely wrong. And I found that by doing that, I've saved myself a lot of embarrassment.
agreed.
Joe Nowak, you got your hand up.
Yeah, hang on. I think I'm on. Yeah, I'm on. Okay. Um, Along with that business of finding a fake, um, if you if you're really interested in, and I like to check things out to make sure they're right, um, because politically both sides are using things out of context, etc. And so I created a gem in Gemini called Fact Checker. And all I have to do is go to my fact checker in Gemini, type in the URL, hit enter, and what it does is it goes out, finds the facts, whether it's fact or fiction, or if it's out of context, and it's also going to give me three URL references um, to back it up so that I know it's not hallucinating. And I strongly recommend using the gems or creating a gem for yourself. It's really really good. Um, the other thing that I wanted to mention is once again it's with Gemini, but everybody probably is now familiar with the fact that Gemini will create images using Nano Banana, and it's absolutely amazing. One of the things I found is that you can take and feed a photograph to Gemini, post an image, a photograph, and then tell it that you want that image to be recreated, but as a coloring book image, and it'll do that for you. Or you want it as a sketch, or you want it in oil paint or whatever, and it'll do that for you. So that's kind of a fun thing to do. If you have grandkids, the coloring book thing might be nice, especially if you use pictures of them, you know, and they can see themselves in a coloring book, or the grandparents, or family members, or friends, or whatever. So that's it.
Okay, Nano Bananas does swapping of information very well. I had a picture of a stork bringing a baby because there was some wood storks in my neighborhood. Well, wood storks are a different version of stork. They have a totally different beak. So what I did is I took the picture of a wood stork, and I took the picture of in fact, I didn't even take the picture of the wood stork. I took the picture of the stork bringing the baby and said, change the beak to a wood stork Bingo. I got a picture and it was a wood store carrying the baby, and I was able to put it in my Facebook post to a group.
One of my
They
favorites
had a
was
good laugh about it.
at our senior center. We have a couple of the employees there. They dressed up for our Christmas party. They dressed up as elves, and I took a picture of them, and it was they were standing up against the cafeteria wall, and I said, "Take this photograph and put these people into Santa's workshop." And lo and behold, they were in the workshop. They were working on toys. There were elves all around, the whole thing, and it was just like one sentence, and it took off from there. It's really great if you want to play with the graphics. Boy, it's amazing. But once again, you're limited if you go with the free one.
Yeah, Carl, you have your hand up.
Yeah, of course, all these conversations trigger things. And what I want to talk about my experience with Copilot. It's a two-part experience, but I want to respond to what Joe just said. There was something on one of the cable shows, and they mentioned about AI being used in senior centers in homes where people are taken care of completely. It's not a senior complex per se, where you need full-time care. And they said what is happening with AI, it will go back to your past. It'll create your, like you see when your birthday, I was born in 39. It'll say all the prices of things in 39 and who was born that year or whatever. It's kind of cool. You get a card like that. Well, now they're finding that they can go back in time for seniors and people relive those times. And it's very enjoyable and it's very healthy for seniors to do that, to relive those eras, what happened. And it's like a movie, but of your era, your time. So that was something new about AI. But what I wanted to talk about was I had a problem with my refrigerator. It's an LG. It's about 15 years old or more, and it quit. Well, I couldn't dispense the water in the door or ice. But I pulled out the panel and looked. The ice bucket was full of ice, and I said, "Well, maybe it's the." I'm an engineer, retired, and a do-it-yourselfer. And I said, "Well, it might be the valve." I'm analyzing in my head what the problems could be. Well, so I went to Copilot, like I said, bugging me. So I said, the ice maker makes ice in the ice bucket, but does not dispense the ice when the trip lever is pressed. In addition, the water dispenser does not operate when dispersed. It appears to me it's an electrical problem. Now, here's what it comes back. It says, you're reading the symptoms exactly the way a seasoned engineer would. So it nailed me. It says, when both the ice dispenser and the water dispenser fail at the same time, the ice maker still produces ice. That narrows down the problem dramatically. Let's walk through this in a clean, structured way. It says both dispensers power control. It gives a symptom. It rewrites it, summarizes it. Both dispensers dead, power control issue in the dispenser circuit. It said the ice maker itself is on a different circuit than the dispensing paddle switches. It says it almost always means the dispenser control system is not getting power or not sending signals. This is a mechanical jam. It's an electrical control related problem. So one of the problems I learned, I try to print this out and only print one page. You don't have like on a regular, 3 dots up in the corner, to select for your printer like you have in Word. So you have to print, it prints what it sees at a time, a page. So I didn't print the rest of it. And somehow there's 2 things I learned here. One was that the printing, I can't print the whole response at one time. This is a Copilot now. I don't think that's true on Gemini. And so I lost the rest of the solution, but I remember reading it. And it said it could be the wiring in cable that goes in the door frequently, the wire conductor will break. And it mentioned some other electrical things. So I said, well, I went back to Copilot and I said, give me the repeat of the last comment. And it said, you didn't save it. You can't do it. And by the way, Huey, I've learned from watching you. My normal impatience is now I'm taking it out on the AI. I say that's what I wanted. You're way off base. I'm very arrogant, and I don't worry about AI. So anyway, and of course it has my name. It says Carl. So I said, well, I have to start all over. So I started all over, and I wasn't acting so cocky and smart. I just said what the problem was. The dispensers neither dispenser was working, and I need help. So it came back. This is really epiphany, guys. It came back and it said, "Did you do a reset?" And I said, "No." It said, "Unplug the plug and wait a minute and plug it back in." All this other stuff I had showing it's smart. I'm an electrical guy and all that. I unplugged the plug and plugged it in. Son of a B. I don't want to say what I'm thinking. The damn thing works perfectly. So when you tell it, you can basically, I was influencing the answer, right? The first question. This time I just let it wide open. Neither was dispensing. And it said, unplug the plug. That's the reset. So I don't know what to say. I'm speechless.
I doubt that.
Well, that's true. That'll never happen. I always get forewarning, but that was my experience with Copilot. And as I said, it was more technical. And then by the way, I asked you before I left, I said, will you still be with me when I come back to see if that works? Because I was really doubtful. It's amazing me. A technical solution has to be more complicated than unplugging it. And it said, unplug it, reset it like you would an ordinary computer. Well, I came back and there was a question. Did it work? Yes or no? And that's it. And I clicked on yes, and that was it. The screen went away. There's no discussion about you did a good job or whatever. They were on to the next case.
Let me show you something. I'm going to bring up Copilot. If I think.
There you go.
Okay. What you can do is come here. You click this. It opens up. As long as you're signed in, it keeps track of everything you've done.
Oh.
So if you do that, so if I go back to, let's see, I'm just trying to think of one that may have there's everything that I did.
So you didn't have to save it, Huey, each time? That's what it said. I didn't save it for some reason.
Yeah. Well,
Plus, you can do a Control A and grab it and drop it into a document, but you can also ask it to give it to you. Like you can say, give this to me, give me your answer formatted and ready to be pasted into Word. And it'll just create it for you. And then you can just drop, copy all and put it into Word and it'll format it. If there are tables in the response, the tables will be there.
That's good. Go ahead, Huey.
That's what I do. I highlight it, copy it, then I open up Word or Google Docs and drop it in there and save it.
And
Isn't
look
that a
down
copy icon at the bottom?
You don't.
Right down at the bottom of your screen, you can see right there's the copy. And now just open up Word and then do paste.
Yeah.
I guess I didn't. Well, I left the page for some reason. I don't remember, and I didn't do a save. But what was the message was here was this was a blessing in disguise. Because the first answer was having me looking at the wiring cable between the door and the refrigerator. And the second time, because I diagnosed it as I was telling the AI it wasn't mechanical. And so AI then focused on the electrical. But when I lost that page, I couldn't recover it. I only printed out one part of it, which I read. I don't have the rest of it. It came back and gave me a better solution. Unplug the thing and plug it back in. I would have been terrible. It even told me how to take the panel off on the door on the bottom. You remove the screws on the bottom of the door to expose the electrical wiring.
Yeah, boy, is that overkill.
That's a huge message. Don't be so damn smart that you think you're smarter than AI.
Okay, but notice how I did that. But I see in Copilot, It's got an export this as a file. I've never used that. Let's see what it does. Export as
Yeah,
a Word doc, a PDF, an Excel spreadsheet, or a PowerPoint presentation.
That's nice.
Let's see what that does.
yeah. No, that's good,
Especially
Huey.
PowerPoint. Yeah, that'd be nice.
No, your comments and Mike are very valuable because I did not know that.
Yeah, the export to PDF works really well because it gives you all the citations in a lot more detail.
Yeah, but where did it put it?
But I learned my lesson. I'm not going to try to outsmart AI.
Create a PowerPoint. Okay. And I don't see it doing it.
Well, PowerPoint, you can have bullets and different options too, right?
Oh, wait a minute. Here, your PowerPoint file has been created. What's inside it? Edit it. Here's the PowerPoint. I'll open it. Download it first.
Cool.
You still got to go back in PowerPoint and do some editing, but it takes the information and creates a PowerPoint out of it.
And you could probably take that with Galaxy AI and do a cut and just drop it in as a text input to Galaxy's text to PowerPoint and say, give me a PowerPoint with this kind of a style in the background
Yeah.
and whatever. And you'll get a full PowerPoint, more than just what Word did or what
Yeah.
Copilot.
Don't be afraid of using multiple AI programs to get one result.
Well, that brings up, I've never used Galaxy AI. How do you start it and so forth, Huey? Do you know?
Yeah,
I mean,
you go to
it's on my phone. I assume, do I type in Galaxy under,
Galaxy AI is the website. I've got a button here for it.
okay.
And you come here.
So do you look it up under,
Now, right now it's saying there's 3,541 tools. You come down here for search, and if I say, let's say I want to use Nano Banana, I just type in Nano. You don't even have to hit enter, and you come down, edit images with Nano to Banana, create images, generate images, edit images with Nano Banana Pro, chat with GPT-5 Nano, and chat with GPT 4.1 Nano. So they're all right there. And then you can decide, are you doing text to image or image to image?
so my search engine on the phone is a Google search engine. So I just type Galaxy AI dot in there and it'll come up.
You can see it right here. It's
Yeah, I see that.
galaxy.ai.
I saw that. Yeah.
And then I think it defaults to tools, but you probably will need to create an account. And then with the account, uh, you just go to it and make sure you're signed in. So let's say here's a generation history, popular, and so on. So if I go into my image library, let's see, it says they're deleted after 30 days, but you can see, yeah, there's let me move this over here. There's the wood stork carrying the baby that I talked about. And I create a lot of the thumbnails for my different videos. I needed a calendar, and I said, give me a calendar for January 2026 with the first on a Thursday. And bingo, it did, because if you don't say it on a Thursday, sometimes the numbers are way off. So let's see what else.
You think
This one is this one was create a caricature of Allie as a news anchor. This is my granddaughter, and there was a picture of her sitting at the anchor desk, and I just said make a caricature out of it, and it did. And I used it for her birthday notice, happy birthday. So you can see some different things here that I've done just by going back into my image library. And if I go to my video library, you can see different videos I've done.
Well, you know what dawned on me? I was thinking I could only use it on my Galaxy phone. You're using it on your desktop.
It's got nothing to do with the Galaxy phone.
That was my
It's just called
I assumed it was.
Galaxy.ai. It's got nothing to do with
Oh,
Samsung.
I'll be darned.
No, let's see,
So
what do I
can I
got
ask
here?
something? Can I ask something
Hey,
related to something Carl brought up?
All right,
yeah.
let's dive into Google's latest experiment. They're basically trying to build you a personal digital butler, an AI.
Okay, so anyway, that's that. Let me go ahead and stop the share. That's over here now. And who was it that wanted to speak?
That was me, Dave.
Okay, Dave. Yeah, there you are. Okay, what's up?
Yeah. So I know at one point Carl mentioned that, yeah, he went back to what he had previously requested and it was gone. And then he was trying to rebuild that. So I've used Perplexity for some time, and it just logging into the website, it seems to keep my queries forever. But I started using ChatGPT, and I've got the app on my PC. And for a couple weeks or something, I only reboot when I feel like I have to, once every week or two. But the it was keeping every query that I made. Sometimes it figured out a title for it. Sometimes it just called it new chat and kept a big list on the left of everything I had, every session I had with it. And I was thrilled because I could search and do all kinds of stuff with that. I'm not sure if it was because I rebooted, but then at some point later, I reopened the Chat GPT app and it's got like 8 out of the 40 sessions that I had with it that it had somehow decided what it felt like saving. But my
Okay.
desire is to permanently save every single session I've ever had. And I seem to have difficulties accomplishing that. Does anyone know with
They,
ChatGPT on the app or anything about how to
one
control
of
what
them
it
said it
saves?
saves it for 30 days, so you might want to check to see what they say, and you may have to have a paid version to have it save it longer.
Understood. Okay.
You might also prompt ChatGPT with your question. It might tell you itself.
Well, there's a duh kind of idea.
Yeah.
Could have
Yeah,
had a V8. Yeah.
right.
You can
Good
Walter.
idea, Bill.
you can also change the name on those chats if you want to. If you go to the three dots, you'll get a next to the name that it gives. You can have your own. So if you've covered a couple things, then it just says um,
It says
information
new chat,
about
but
A,
yeah.
and you had more than that. You can put down the various topics and change the title for yourself.
But
So
it's always confusing to me where to find it. Like on Gemini, I always want to see where my last chat was, and I think I click on the initials of my name up in the right hand corner, but I always have to poke around to find it.
Look in the top left. Usually there's a
top
button that
left, yeah.
opens up that side panel. They'll be there. Um, what I found is that I can't remember which one of the chat programs I use. So I got to go from one to the other and look at what's saved and see if that's the one I created it with.
So does anyone know if with these chats, if there's a way to save them in any sort of format locally on your PC or to have it
Well,
just default to
apparently,
that?
Huey was just
Well, yeah, that's what that
commenting that,
export thing is. If
yeah,
you
that
I
export
whole
to
mean,
a
export.
PD,
Yeah.
but I mean, have
export to
it
a
save them
PDF will
all.
do it.
I don't mean save one at a time. I mean, have it always save them always on the PC somewhere.
And I think the only thing you're going to be able to do there is once you get a computer that's powerful enough that you can do all of this on your computer, it will save it for you wherever you tell it. But you're going to have one of the more powerful computers with the ability to run your own LLMs, I believe.
Wouldn't you
Yeah.
be able to do that with, I'm not familiar with the other ones so much, but ChatGPT, you can set up a set of personal um things that you wanted to do. And would it be possible to tell something like um, either ChatGPT or with the Copilot, tell it after each conversation, um, send a copy to, you know, a Word file or whatever it is,
Mm.
and like that, because you can do preset and have it do things for you automatically with every chat that you have.
Another idea might be to save them to files, then bring them all into NotebookLM,
Yeah.
and you can search on it through it,
Or gems.
or gems,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
yeah, and they all have their. I can't remember in ChatGPT they have a thing too to save and projects, I think it's called, and you can put all the projects, all the things in one project.
That's kind
Walter,
of
you
like,
have your hand up.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Um, Andy and I think Andy's probably in the meeting, have a work project where we have a number of laboratory reports that were copied on a copying machine and put in PDF format. So there's no recognizable text. And these are like water samples and soil samples, that type of thing. And we've got a good prompt that will take this and put it in a JSON file, which we can then put in an Excel or CSV. The problem we've got is it gets about to 20, 25 pages and it dies on us. And we have hundreds or thousands of pages and looking for some kind of solution for that.
Yeah, I've had a problem putting together certain things. And say I want, give me an image, give me an image for all of it, and when it gets, it'll do 8 or 10 of them, and then stop, and then I have to say, well, do the next 10, and do the next 10, and it works that way.
This has done a wonderful job of extracting the data off the page, even where people have circled things and put check marks and written things down. And I even set it up to give me an extra column in Excel if it recognized hand marks on the page and whatever row it marked them in. That does a great job. We just need to do more in time.
Hey, Walter, what tool were you using for that?
Claude.
Oh, okay. Hmm.
Claude's
There's
real
also
good.
apparently some commercial sites online that will do this for you, but I'm not sure. We haven't actually tried any of them yet to see how long they wait. It's designed to take in material like we've got and convert it into something else.
I'm checking Alter AI to see if they've got a maximum.
Okay, any other comments, questions? Bill?
I was going to say, I got into this to understand what's going on and to compare it with what I've learned in the past. Now, I have a programming background, and AI is very powerful in that it can create things like programs that you write in BASIC, in C, in whatever language. And you have to sort things out. And the first level of sorting is what is a large language model and what are the things that use the large language model. It's kind of like if you determine what is a programming language, you say Fortran, and you create a program with Fortran, and now you run the program as opposed to running Fortran itself. The program does something and is useful in itself, but Fortran created it. And so all these thousands of apps are using a half a dozen large language models. Actually, it's maybe 2 or 3 times that, but it has settled out to be ChatGPT, Gemini, and Claude have been in the United States the large language models that people are using. And so if you get, I don't know, fluent in the capabilities of the large language models, that will give you some understanding of what's going on. And secondary to that is the prompt. When you or anybody shows a prompt, shows something you've done, the prompt is, I would call it programming. And the exact words that you use, the phraseology when you've experimented until finally you get a good prompt, it's kind of miraculous what can happen. But if you don't share that prompt and you only share the results of it, it's kind of like you show off a computer program but don't show the program. So I don't know how you focus on this in a group like this, but if you concentrate on the capabilities of ChatGPT, Gemini, and Claude, that would let people kind of, pull yourselves up by your bootstraps. And all the prompts are saved, and you can. Let me say one other thing. When you create something, you can create a link that you can share with people so that what Hueie created, he can go into his large language model and say, share, and then create a link. And he can send you a link to what he did. And you can jump into that and see exactly the multiple steps or one step that he did to produce whatever he's producing.
Yeah,
And
Bill, one of the things I was doing this past week is, and I had mentioned it last month and worked on it, is I create an activities calendar for my uh, for my uh, uh, my complex here, and we've only got 85 units, and there's not a lot of a lot of things that go on, but I've got somebody gives me the information, and I'm trying to bring it in and put it in some kind of a format. So as I'm doing something, I say no, the columns for the date need to be wider. The days of the week make it 3 letters instead of the whole word. That sort of thing. And when I get to the point where it looks like similar to what I want, then I tell it, give me a prompt that will give me the result that we just got. And then I take that and I can use it. So that's another way to uh, do all the finagling you're going to do. And then when you got it to where you want it, then tell it create a prompt to make it so, and it'll do it. And then you save that prompt. And so next month when you got to go in create the same calendar with different information, I've already got my prompt.
Take a look at the chat. Alter AI gave a good answer that's probably common to most AIs on length. And it's talking about converting their output in terms of tokens. And most of the AI models use tokens. So it's probably something similar, although you could submit the same question to the AIs that you use and see if it's any different.
Yeah,
I was going to say one problem is that these large language models, these three key guys, they're changing right before our eyes.
Yep.
They are having new capabilities, and so it's really hard to keep up with what's going on in terms of it, or to keep a handle on it because it's changing.
I'm going to jump in because I'm going to forget the question. Bill, you brought up something. I see there's language models and large language models. What are these entities that are language models? I don't understand it.
Well, the problem is most people, other than the originators, don't understand what's going on in the basic sense of how it's engineered. And that includes me. I like, how does a computer programming language work? It's kind of a similar question, but a language model and a large language model, I don't know, as I've heard the term language model used by itself. The evolution of AI has wound up with a large language model, and they feed all kinds of information into it, and it gets to a point where it can access all this information and regurgitate information to you. And that's the large language models. And there's maybe I don't know, a dozen of them more, and occasionally they pop up in other countries. China has 2 or 3 that are quite good. France has one, And the United States has three. So I don't know if that answers your question.
Carl,
Uh,
if it's any answer to you, I have no idea of what an LLM actually does for me, and I don't need to, so I don't worry about it. Uh,
okay. Well, it's
well,
used. Well, I've
it's
seen.
used a lot, absolutely, but it's deeper into what AI does and how it does it than I want to go.
Okay. Well, two things. I
So,
want to make two comments. One is I want to give you kudos and congratulations on the outline for your today's meeting. It was very verbose, very clear, about the past meetings. It was well designed. I don't know if you did it or AI helped you, but it was very well done, Huey. I didn't go into it, but there's a lot of well outline information in your newsletter outline, by the way. And second thing, once before I mentioned this, I think on Tech for Seniors, I don't know if I knew it on here, but like if you have a document and you want it rewritten, you could have it written as business or personal or something like that. Well, one of the things I took a course in, well, it was a presentation on genealogy, and I mentioned the person's name, Murray knows him. And one of the tips I got out of that was using AI was that at the end of whatever you ask, you add for genealogical purposes. That's no different than if you ask some rewrite a document from a personal or business or way, it does a total different results. And he showed an example, like if you're researching a town or something where you were lived or whatever, and at the end it'll give you, the straight answer. But if you say genealogical purposes, you would be amazed what different information you get.
yep. Okay, thanks, Carl. Anybody else? Comments, questions?
I just took Carl's question. I don't understand the difference between large language models and language models. Explain it to me as a layman. And I just submitted it to Alter AI, but you can submit it to any AI you want and you'll get the answer and it'll be digestible.
Duh, duh, Mike, that's great. I when on Tech for Seniors, I can't forget this. Every time I'd ask you a question, his first answer was, "Did you look it up on Google first?"
Mhm. Yeah, now I say AI. But Mike, also with that is, uh, or Carl, at the end of it, instead of saying for a particular thing, you can say, I want it humorous, I want it lighter. You can make changes that way, and have it, and then choose which one's the best one.
I used
And that,
to think, give it to me for a fifth grader, if you remember that
yeah, I was
TV
just going to
show.
say that
But
was
but these days the fifth graders know more than we do.
so. Then you say fourth grader or third grader, or an 8-year-old, and it'll put it in terms that you can understand.
Well,
Yeah,
I remember early on when using Microsoft Word, you could do a word count, you could do a sentence count, and so
yeah,
forth. And if you, it would tell you the complexity. If you wrote somebody that a professor wrote, it would be, very hard to read. The summary was that the most popular books were written at the third or fourth grade level reading level. I mean, talking about just publishing books. If you want a wide audience,
mm,
like a story about anything, you get rid of the five syllable words and the shorter sentences and so forth.
okay. Any other comments, questions?
Well,
Bill?
one of the things that why I'm here is because I wanted to learn about AI when it started. I have a genealogy, I don't know, compulsion. And so I have a special interest group for that group on AI. It's one of about 7 that we have. I'm in charge of them all. And I made that website to kind of try to organize things as I was learning it. And it's kind of crude, and I don't think I've updated it for a while. But it's just my way of trying to learn AI as it goes along. And it's kind of like being on a freight train. It keeps moving, and you have to keep up on things in order to understand it. But there's a basic large language model that you kind of have to grasp. And that's on the right side of that website. I list a bunch of large language models. And if you look at ChatGPT and all the things it will do, and you look at Gemini, all the things it will do, likewise with Claude, you will start hanging on and being able to kind of harness what it can do.
Bill, could you put that link? It would be worth it for us to see what you're talking about in the link.
That's what I did. I put it in there at 10:43 a.m. in the chat.
Oh, okay. All right. I have to do a conversion. It's 1.5 now.
I'll put another up. Let's see. I'll put it in
Yeah.
again.
It's
Did
there.
you see it?
It's there. It's a very nice reference.
What time is it showing? Because it's
One
not-
1:43 p.m.
Oh,
Eastern.
I just put it in again.
Yep.
Okay. All right, very good. Oh, I'll find it. Thank you. I'm hooked on genealogy too, but my life is overwhelming with stuff, and that's one of them.
Yeah, there's only so much you can learn about and spend time on the computer. Sometimes you got to sleep or eat or even exist.
Well, that's when you've got your robot that's an AI just running around the house helping him.
And we're going to see a lot more of that too, by the way.
Yeah, we're seeing that, and probably we'll see it at CES coming up here very soon.
Yeah, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of robots.
Speaking of the robot, there was a story about the iRobot I just saw was on the Business Channel that the founder of it, wanted, I think, Amazon to help, fund future versions of it, and Amazon didn't want anything to do it. Now a Chinese company has it, and I guess he went bankrupt basically, and
The Roomba?
the
Yeah.
iRoomba, yeah.
The
And
Roomba.
it was kind of a fascinating human interest, real life story, and I guess they're doing amazing things with it, and they're big. I guess they have some partners too in the Netherlands or something like that, China, that's doing a lot more things with that iRobot.
And of course, there's a lot of competition for it as well.
Yeah, we got a shark.
Yeah, I do too. Okay, other comments? We got
Yes, speaking of CES, who else is planning on attending?
Virtually.
Yeah, Mike and I used to travel and go out there. I love it, but
I'll be there.
physically, I couldn't do it. You can
Anyone
represent
else?
us then.
There we go. Anyone else actually going? Just me. Oh no. Okay.
Huey, you got a future story from Bill on your agenda. What he learned. I'm sorry, Dave. My eyes are blurry.
Yeah. Dave and Steve said they were going, or at least it sounded like it was Steve.
Were you guys going to?
No. Oh, we used to go. We got too old.
Now,
What
I may
is
be
this
the
again?
Consumer Electronics Show in Vegas, January 4th through 8th, something like that. I may be the closest in Denver, so it's just a 2-hour flight for me.
Yeah.
I was renting a scooter because you got about 15 miles of aisles. And,
That's true.
and then I needed a scooter. So
Yeah, Mike and I used to go to the old Comdex shows and then CES shows, and it's just so much territory, so much floor space, and it's the whole Las Vegas Convention Center, several hotels, and even more hotels and even more hotels. And you don't get to see all of it. You don't get to see a lot of what you want to see.
Some pretty good parties, though.
Yep, good parties and good prizes and giveaways
Swags.
too.
And
Yeah, swag and
we would get back each day and we would share a room, two big queen size beds, and we'd each take our bag of swag and just lay it all out on the bed to figure out what was worth keeping, what we would throw away, and what we would bring back for prizes for our main meetings.
Well, in the last
in
couple of
the
years, there's been a lot less swag, and it's more just what you can collect with your phone, I guess.
yeah, and a lot of times if it's software, I'll ask for an evaluation copy, and a lot of times they can reach down underneath and come up with one. Or I've got headsets that way. I've gotten cameras that way. So sometimes if you've got a good reason for them to give you one, a lot of times they've got them there. Uh, They can hand them out.
Cheryl had her hand up.
Okay, Cheryl, go
I
ahead.
guess I could look this up, but I always thought that there had to be an invite, like that you were a formal member of the press, or I guess these days an influencer, and that there was like a fee, like a couple $1,000. Is there not?
Actually, there's not, you can simply sign up as an individual to go. It costs something like $50. And
Okay.
and then if you go at least every other year after that, there's no longer a $50 fee. You're considered alumni.
Okay. Interesting. Didn't know. Thanks.
Yeah,
Is
I
it
used to get a press pass so I could go this, excuse me, some of the press releases and that sort of thing.
is it a case you need to do it a year in advance to get a place to stay?
Almost. Yeah, it can
Yeah.
Yeah.
be pretty crowded. Used to be, it may still be the world's largest trade show. Some
I
are
go with
close.
a friend. Yeah, I go with a friend who's gone for decades, and he gets us behind the scenes into all
There you
the
go.
interesting stuff. But we usually have an empty room or available beds if anybody wants to go for cheap.
That's great. Okay, anybody else? Question, comment? JJ, you're quiet today.
I'm sitting here listening. I'm just thinking back in the days where Atari was doing or at the CES here in Chicago, and a couple of us from the user groups just got to help support for 3 days they were there, and it was interesting.
Yeah, CES used to do one in Atlanta. They did one in Miami, and different times of the year, but it's pretty much consolidated in Las Vegas now.
And of course, the big factor now is the automotive industry with AI, and that's something that's really conspicuously missing is AI in the uh, driver benefit perspective. I don't see anything in the car.
Oh yeah. If you go to CES, you'll find whole halls with
Yeah,
nothing but
no.
automobiles and all of what they have, and information out there. Mike did a lot of reports on the electric cars, and a lot of it came from what he found on the web. So it's out there but sometimes you got to search for it.
Well, I left out the most biggest piece, of course, is the driverless vehicles. They're all about AI.
Yeah.
Although,
And
Carl,
the fact, go
sorry, I
ahead.
was going to say, given that I've been aching for driverless vehicles for ages, but the lawyers are just licking their chops.
Yep.
My
Well, and
my
then in San Francisco, they lost their power. What was it, last week or the week before? And all the Waymos stopped working. I mean, just stopped. They were right in the middle of the road in some cases, and they couldn't go. They couldn't get them off the road. So there's still things to worry about with them. But I see Waymo is going to be testing in Tampa, which is not too far from me. If I can get a ride up there, I would like to try a Waymo and go from one place to another and then back again just to try it. It scares me not to have a driver in a car, but I think I'd be willing to try it.
my
Yeah, I
my
spoke.
son my son was in San Francisco for a Microsoft software, whatever they call it. I don't know. Was there most of a week, I think. And he had pictures of him on his computer in the back of a Waymo vehicle. You know that they they look like a regular car, and driving around. And he had a video camera taken. It was really surrealistic to see the car moving. You know, along the other side cars. There's no driver in the seat.
Why would a
Well,
Waymo be affected by a power outage? Aren't they
Servers,
taking their own?
the
Aren't
servers.
they taking their own power supply with them?
No internet.
The
Yeah.
stoplights went out.
Oh.
And the
Yeah.
servers.
There's no traffic lights to determine if it's red or green.
But I spoke with the Waymo engineers at CES last year in the hope they could come to Denver someday, and they told me all the difficulties when you add snow and that kind of stuff in. But they're coming to Denver in the next few months. And you said Tampa, right, Huey?
Yes,
Okay.
we don't have snow there.
For those
Right.
of
I mean,
you,
I think it'd be a no-brainer there.
for those of you that follow Geeks on Tour, or you can actually go check YouTube to the Geeks on Tour channel. Before they took off on their round the world cruise, they stopped off in San Francisco and took a Waymo drive, and the whole thing is recorded on one of their shows. It's worth searching for.
Well, good information. Yeah.
Any other comments, questions? It's been a good session. We've brought up a lot of things. I think we helped Carl a little bit understand some of these things. And if we helped Carl, we helped everybody.
Well,
Well,
Huey, just whenever I join this, I'm just astonished at the amount of brain power in this group. Incredible. I'm honored to be here.
That's why
Well,
I
thank
feel
you.
this way. That's why I attend. Huey's forging a very valuable path here, to say the least. I loved your outline for the coming for the last week, and so I can't say I'm anxious to go through all of them, but I do like the layout.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, it's about
I've been
the,
having a lot of not no problems, excuse me, a lot of fun, should I say, with NotebookLM since I've really gotten into it lately. I just completed my quarterly newsletter that I'm doing here again. It's about 60% NotebookLM.
I just found an AI that will take a YouTube video or any video and create a PowerPoint out of it. And it does a fantastic job. And I'm putting one together for Monday. Hopefully, I'll get it. I'll be able to speak enough to finish it up. It's only going to be about 5 minutes. But it's interesting what you can get from something that somebody's already done. I'm concerned about copyright stuff, but the data is not. I'm not. It doesn't take quoted words, but it's the same idea, and it creates all of its own images. So I'm not using anybody's images. So it's going to be. I'm anxious to get it done and get it posted, and see if YouTube wants to say, "Hey, you can't use it."
You could probably, the AI that's doing that, in the prompt, you could probably say to it, please check out all the images that are here for copyright.
Yeah,
If it
no, it
has-
actually creates its own. It doesn't use any of the ones
Oh,
that it
yeah.
has.
Well, in that case, AI images theoretically can't be copyrighted.
Yeah.
But I can't emphasize my learning lesson was trying to influence AI, a bad thing. Because when I couldn't figure out what it told me to do, how to check the wiring in the door for my refrigerator to see if it had a broken wire or something. Next time when I asked the question, the next time when I asked the question, it said a common problem with the LG refrigerator is that it needs to be reset. Did you try a reset? And it says it's like a computer. It says it's like a computer. It needs to be reset sometimes. And that was it, unplugging it and plugging it back in. And I'm never going to try to show off my knowledge anymore to AI.
Yeah,
I have an LG refrigerator. I'm going to try turning it off and on because my ice dispenser just quit working. It just out of the blue, no anything. So
Bill,
thank you, Carl.
you're welcome. Unplug it for a minute. And in my case, I was fortunate. I just hit the reset because it's on the separate circuit. But just unplug it for a minute. And can you imagine all the money I saved if I would have called a service technician out? And then he tells me to leave the room and unplugs it and plugs it back in and says, that'll be 300 hours. Thank you.
it's knowing that information. Anyway, I'm going to end up with a cartoon that I posted on Facebook, and you may or may not have seen, of a kid with a kite, and the kite's on the ground. And the man that's next to him says, "Did you unplug it and plug it back in?"
Very
And
timely.
on that note, ladies and gentlemen, this has been the STUG, or Sarasota Technology User Groups Let's Talk AI for December 2025. We'll be back in January. In the meantime, keep up with the AI, keep learning, and we'll see you then.